Hello, it's PinkCraftyMama and I'm here today with a layout that I'm making for the Scrap the Boys challenge. They've asked me to be a guest designer for the month of September and the theme is flowers. So naturally that's why I've got a lemon cut file and lemon paper and a lemon photo. It wasn't what I was originally going to do for this challenge, but as I was flipping through either some photos or an album for something completely different, I found this photo and I remembered that I was having a discussion online with Joker Marco, who's on Paige Evans' design team, in Paige's Facebook group, probably about a year ago. And Joker had done something similar with the lemons. It's the cut file's just a circle, and then there's another one which is a half lemon wedge, and she had resized them in all different sizes and made a welded sort of a collage to put a photo on, sort of like this. Seeing the photo reminded me of that, and I also remembered that it was a good way to use some lemon paper. Where the flowers come in is that I remember that a lot of these papers have not just a lemon but flowers like this one, and after I had looked through a few I went with this one. It sort of has a bit of a nautical vibe to it. It's from Paige's Pick Me Up, and I think there is even a boat paper in that collection. And this photo was taken at a trip to one of our favourite beaches, so that sort of, it just sort of connects in my mind and sort of my memory of the day and everything like that, even though you can't really tell from the photo. So what we're going to do is I'm going to back most of the lemons just with different yellow pattern papers, and with some of them I'm going to make into shaker pockets. But before I do that, I'm not particularly happy with how it's sitting, because I don't really like this one. It sticks out to the side a lot more than I thought, and I mean it's already sort of come loose here. So if I do a bit of surgery and I can hide the joins, sort of if I figure out exactly where I want the photo to sit, I can probably hide some joins, or detach this one, put it up somewhere else maybe. Yeah, so I'll just play around with that and see whether I can get that looking any better. Okay, so what I did was I removed that bit from the side which came from here, flipped it around, and then that bit on the bottom, there was a section of 3 on the bottom that came off by itself anyway, and this little tiny one is a bit messed up, so no great loss. So I'll attach it sort of like this and kind of like that. Once it's all backed and everything, we'll stick it down and you won't even notice that there's anything missing. So I'll just figure that bit out. This gap can be pretty much where the photo goes or where some of the floral embellishments are going to go, so that works out well. And I'm going to put probably a strip of a different coloured paper behind anyway. I was thinking this sort of aqua paper from the same line. Let's get started. I just need to make sure that these stay pretty much exactly like that, otherwise I'll forget how they go. Let's cut the photo down. That will do. So branding strips, let's forget about those. I went with 4.5. So put that out of the way. So cut it in such a way that our that label and possibly some of the others are still able to be used. Let's adhere this. Now the question is, no, I'm not going to do anything about edges. I'm not going to put it flush to the edge either, the adhesive that is. That just gives me options. But I do want to put it on straight, which is something that I can't cut straight, I can't stick straight, I can't do anything straight. Okay. The next bit I need to figure out is which ones will be the shaker ones. Let's say this one, and maybe this one. Otherwise it would have to be 1, 2, 3, and I don't like that. 1, 2, 3 I think is better. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Yep, let's do that. I went through all my 6x6 paper pads and pulled out a whole bunch of different yellows. I want pale yellows, I want bright yellows, I want sort of orangey yellows, all the yellows. Okay, so let's figure out what is going to go where. Perhaps I'll do this one. Just get a pencil and I'm just going to lightly on the outside, oops, do the line. You've got shaky hands like me and you end up drawing on the cut file. Have a nice clean white eraser handy. Look, we barely started and my desk is already an absolute mess. But that's how I roll. So because this is a dot roller, it's sort of more forgiving, I guess, than if it was a solid line. And provided we don't put it down on the same section, it will be fine. Just have to make sure that none of it is showing. And what I should have done actually before I lifted it is made sure that the none of the little bits were coming through. So there's some showing here, and so I just fold it back and cut it away. It's all good. Here we go. And so we're just going to rinse and repeat until we've seen. Okay, so here are our lovely yellow lemons, and now we have to do the same as the pattern paper bit, but instead we use some acetate or window sheets. And I did have a full pack of window sheets, which no idea where they went, but what I do also do is I save the you know, when you get a stamp set, there's often a protective bit on one side, and so I've got a whole bunch of those. They don't need to be perfect. If they're a little bit scratched up, it's not going to show, as long as they're more or less okay. So if they have a bit of a funny film on them, you know, from the stamps, you can just get like a glasses cloth and just sort of give them a bit of a wipe down. And we're still going to attach them pretty much the same. What we do need to make sure is there's a really good seal around the edge, because I mean most of the sequins that I'm putting in, rather than glitter, the pieces are going to be reasonably, you know, not tiny, so they should be okay. But yeah, there's nothing worse than having it come loose. So we'll get our trusty piece of paper. I'm just going to approximate now and then cut it down once it's stuck. Yeah, so I will put glue all around the edge. The middle doesn't matter so much. If the segments of the lemon were bigger and thicker, you could even put some foam in between so that the sequins would stay in individual compartments. Alright, so we're going to lift that up. Put this down. I mean, this normal, I found this sort of glue will hold just fine. If you want to use stronger holding glue or a wet glue or some kind of, if it was wider, I would possibly use one of those super strong tapes. But the good thing about the clear is that you can see exactly where you're cutting. You just take your time. Alright, so that's going to sit like that. That's this one. So the next thing that we need to do is I will make one in its entirety and then I will go and do the others, whereas normally I do it production light style. Now I like to use these sheets of craft foam. It's not particularly thick. I'd say it's probably roughly about the thickness of the 1/8 of an inch pop dots or whatever. So you just need to cut that into really, really thin strips and into small segments to put all around and make a wall. So we're going to flip it back over. I usually just cut a rough chunk and then once it's sort of small, then it's easier to cut really thin bits. Now the question is, that is probably still going to be too thick. How am I going to adhere it to such a thin area? Because what I'll do is I'll put the sticky side down and then on the plain side at the top, just before I put the back on, I may have to resort to actual horror of horrors glue. This is fiddly. In case you hadn't noticed, this is really fiddly. But it'll be worth it, I promise. There we go. Alright, that's not going to be impossible to glue. It's not going to be great. So, I just have some scraps of plain white cardstock, the same as what the cut file was cut from. And so just going to trace it like I did before, which is probably something I should have done maybe before I put the foam on, but you know, live and learn. Sorry about that. What happened was a battery decided to go flat on me. Anyway, what I did, oh no, it's sticking. As I mentioned, was I had put the sticky side down, at least I thought I had. This one has turned. Pardon me. I've put the sticky side down and stuck the foam strips onto the circles, the lemon slices that are going to have the shaker pockets. Now this is the bit that I don't like, and this is the bit that is going to involve wet glue, and unfortunately I can't get around it, so I'm going to have to try and put the tiniest amount of wet glue around the edge, and then I've sort of freehand cut some cardstock circles just out of the same stuff as the cut file, and I'll put those once we put the contents in on the top, and then I'll probably have to weight them down, and once they're sort of weighted down a little bit just to make sure the glue sticks, we can keep moving and work on some of the other bits. So here goes. The mix is called Watch Me Flip, and it's got mainly yellow with some warmish pinks and a little bit of bronzy goldy type of stuff. So Yeah, I'm going to tip some into this tray first, just so it's a bit more controlled, because some of these bits are quite sensitive to static, as you can see. It's a bit of an art. Too much and they don't shake, not enough and you don't really get the full effect of them. So let's just try and get a good representation of everything that's in here. Not gonna lie, a little bit nervous. Okay, hopefully this glue what it needs is every bit of the surface needs to have some glue on it, but if there's too much it'll start to ooze. Okay, and if these are a bit big, they can just be trimmed away after it has dried. I'll just stick that on for now. It's not super heavy, but it'll do. To just start playing around with some of these flowers, because the theme after all is flowers. These are leftovers from the last layout I did from the Little by Little paper, and I thought I could use them with these ones from Starshine, but I think not. We'll just stick with the Starshine one. So there's some from the big 12 by 12 sheets and some from the 6 by 6 paper pads. So I will start playing around and see what we can come up with. Well, so far so good. What I've done was just use the regular adhesive and put a whole bunch of it on the back of, not the ones that with the shaker pockets, but the other ones, and then put the plain side of the foam down and left the peel away bit on the top, and then I started cutting them away. And I find the easiest way to cut them is turn it so that the front is facing you, and then get the blade of your scissors and stick it just behind, the top blade is just behind the front part of the cut file, so that you won't cause any damage if you sort of miss, and that way you're cutting just a little bit below the white part, which is what you want. You don't want the foam to be completely flush with the edge, because even though it's yellow and it's sort of blends in a bit, you will still be able to see more than what you want. So yeah, even around the sides you can sort of just push it down a bit, and just taking care to keep an eye on the shaker pockets, and if they should sprout a leak it will still be alright. You can just run some extra adhesive glue, wet glue, my nemesis, in that area. Okay, I've just got to do this big one now. So yeah, top blade just under, and then just go around. Take your time. Alright. I probably could have actually filled the these little shakers a bit more, but that's alright. It was looking a bit precarious as to whether we would even get the back on or not. So what I'm going to do is start with the bottom to make sure that I can get these loose bits angled just the way that I want them. So once I've got that in position, I'm going to stick them down, and then I'll be able to put the photo in place and pull out the flowers that I had picked earlier. So with this, flowers are going to start up here. I'm going to put some foam under it, but I'm going to put it so that it is only under part of the photo. That way it will stand up. Yep, that's what I'll do. So it's about, I don't know how high we want it yet, because it's covering a little bit of that one, which isn't ideal, but that's okay. So about there on this side, yeah. And so that's what I did with the shapes. I just sort of put the dry adhesive down, the roll adhesive, and then just stuck them and then cut away the excess. It works just fine. And same as before, sort of from the, I'm doing it from the other side, but sorry, out of frame again. I'm not going to stick that just yet, because at this point I'm going to bring in the flowers to play and see what we can do. Now, I think this was at the top, so it didn't matter that there's bits taken out. We just stick those wherever they sort of fit. I'm thinking also that the title will probably should go at the top, because it feeds directly into the journaling. Sorry about that, we had some technical issues, and anyway, it turned out for the best, because it meant that I did a bit of sprinkling first with some gold droplets, because the gold, it looks really nice against darker colours, and then I just threw in some white as well once the gold had dried. And I stuck down some of these flowers that I had fussy cut, and what I should have done was put the pink in the back and the yellow in the front, and to make this sort of end just stand up, the bottom is just stuck down with normal adhesive, and then there's some pop dots under that top bit. Some of them are completely on pop dots, and then other ones they just have like freestanding little bits that I kind of tease them up, and they will flatten a little bit in the album, but not completely. So I'm thinking I might have a poke through and see if I've got some teeny tiny little, either some gems or sequins or something, just to put in the centre of the flowers and make them stand out a little bit more. In hindsight, our shaker pockets are a little, shaker lemons are a little bit emptier than I would have liked, but yeah, I wasn't sure whether I'd actually get them sealed and closed, but they seem to be holding, so I'm happy about that. Some of this white is flaking a little bit. Okay, so what's next? I have these a bunch of these word stickers, and some of them are just really funny and they'll work really well. So which one? Not Brave, because he's done that many times before, but That's Just Crazy. That will work well. Are You Kidding Me? Not Epic Fail, because it wasn't. It's just a nut job. Hilarious, you know, just things like that. So I'm going to find a few places for those, and I want some other little bits and pieces. Oh, the title and the journaling card, actually, before I get onto that. I've sort of tried a whole bunch of different options for journaling cards, and I think what I want is a longish column, but not too massive. So I don't want it to sort of go all the way to the end of the page, but about there, but long enough. And what I'll do is I'll prise up some of these flowers here and tuck it under, and then it'll be sitting under the lip of the photo. I'll have to pull that up too. I think the only option I found that worked well is I tore this out of one of Chamel's writing pads, and I really like that it's sort of wonky and a bit crazy. So I'll measure it up and make it just a tiny bit smaller than the photo, and then sort of cut it down to size. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that looks pretty much right, and we've almost got the same amount of space on this side as we do there. Not quite, but nearly. So what I'll do, okay, no, it'll go under the photo just fine because the foam is quite a little way under. I'm thinking I might use undo actually for some of these, because it's under foam, and foam tends to sort of get messed up when you try and undo it. This is the best stuff ever. I don't usually use it, I just try and tear stuff up, but you just saturate it and it just dries without leaving a trace. And the best thing about it is that it a lot of the time it leaves once it dries and evaporates, the surface remains sticky. So you don't have to apply new adhesive. It does depend on which adhesive you're using, but I have several bottles of that on the go at any one time. Okay, just put a bit of adhesive there. Yeah, that's come up really nicely, and it hasn't damaged the pop dots, so they should go down just fine. Question is, do I want it any further in? No, I think that's okay. I'm sort of half considering. I don't want to damage the photo. Oh, yeah, see what I mean? It comes up really nicely because the bottom is completely saturated with the, actually I could almost, well, since I'm already here, I might as well rearrange these flowers then. Huh. I wasn't planning. Okay, I pulled out a whole bunch of options for the title. I'm not 100% sure which ones I want, to be honest. If I use, say, because at one point I thought I could bring in some of this lime green, because it goes with the leaves, and the design on his t-shirt is that lime green colour, so it just sort of brings that back in a bit. If I use that, then I should use a different colour for the subtitle or the first part. Otherwise I thought I could use, I ended up using gold instead of the silver, so those are out. There might be something else in this book. So navy with gold. Pink with gold. I'm thinking that the subtitle will probably have to go over the flowers up here because it's going to lead right into the journaling. So I think I want actually white, either white or this turquoise for first part of the subtitle, and then the actual main word of the title, which I probably will end up putting here because otherwise it'll be too long. Yeah, put here and then, yep, that's what I'll do. So I guess all that remains is to figure out, I could use some of these. Actually, if we've used gold, I might go and grab some gold thickers. That's what I'll do. And of course, one letter will be hanging off. That's going to make me a bit twitchy, but whatever. Alright, so the options are I can put the subtitle either right above, in which case I think white is better, or I can put it across. Yeah, I might do that rather than put it on the flowers blended in. I have these could work. I meant to use flat stickers for that, but it really doesn't matter. And these are right here, and I just can't be bothered searching for anything else. Sorry about that, we had a photobombing cat. Oh, goodness. I thought maybe he would bring the whole tripod down. Now, where am I? Right, journaling. Train of thought. We still need something for the date and probably where this was done. I'll keep that there. Now I want some of these word stickers. There's a few tiny bits that I could put somewhere else. I mean, just to have a little look. This lemon's quite big too, and it just doesn't. There just doesn't appear to be a good spot for it. If I could get that somewhere like that, it's not too bad because it sort of goes with the title. Well, we'll see. I'm not 100% certain on that one. I'm pretty sure I've got that lemon in a tiny little puffy as well. Okay, let's find these best words. I actually quite like something here in this bottom area, but I just don't know whether it should be this. I'm thinking actually that I could cut off these tails and just have that bit, and I definitely would put that up on Pop Dots. But I don't want to commit to that just yet. I'm going to cut off those little flaggy bits and then see whether that looks any better. Good word, wrong colour. Thinking either happy or you amaze me. Let's have a look at both. That's pretty good. That might be better actually because it's bringing that aqua across. Alright, let's stick to this. Question is how? Are we going to put it under? Are we going to put it over? Are we going to put it on Pop Dots? are we going to take this pop dot off the leaf and put it all over the top, which is exactly what we're going to do. Here we go. The good thing about that is it still leaves a lot of these splatters that I put there are still nice and obvious. Now let's see if we're going to put anything else on here. Let's have a look and see if there's anything we could put in the flower centres or even just as a sprinkling. I'm wondering actually whether hit some pink. I actually ended up with 2 packets of these, the Happy Vibes one. I must have liked them so much I ordered them twice. Oh, these ones have these teeny tiny little glittery lime green. Yeah, okay. And these ones are special. They're designed by my buddy Sarah Scraps. Now, where did my little pink tray go? This is nuts. I always lose. Okay, let's leave that for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll get some still photos happening and put them on my blog. Thank you for being patient with all the technical issues, and I'll upload it soon, and bye!